All right, today we're going to take a look at graphing lines in slope-intercept form. So a couple things, we've already done most of this, but don't forget that y equals mx plus b is the same as y equals the slope, which represents m times x, plus the y-intercept. Whenever we graph a line, we always want to start with the y-intercept first. And remember, that's going to be a point on the y-axis. And then slope tells us the directions to get to our next point. It's the change in y over change in x. So you're always going to go up or down first, and then right second. So let's take a look at this first line. So it's y equals 2/3 x minus 3. So I know that my y-intercept is the point 0, -3. So we're going to start down here at -3. And I know that my slope is 2/3, so that tells me to go up 2 and right 3. So from that point at -3, I'm going to go up 2, right 3, and I'm going to put a point. I'm going to go ahead and do it again. Go up 2, right 3, put another point. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And then we can draw our line straight through those points with arrows at the end, and we are good to go. All right, so if we take a look at number 2, do the same thing. We've got our y-intercept at 0, 5. So I'm going to start this time up above at 0, 5. And then we need to be careful because our slope is -1/2. So the way we're going to write it is -1/2. Even though the negative sign's out in front, we want to go ahead and associate that with the -1, because remember that tells us to go down 1 and then right 2. So I'm going to go down 1, right 2, put a point, down 1, right 2, put a point, and then I'm going to go ahead and draw my line through those points, put my arrows at the end, and we are good. All right, so the next one, same idea. We're going to start with our y-intercept at 0, 4. So we're up 4 this time on our y-axis. And this time we always want slope to be a fraction. Our fraction can be -2/1, so it's -2/1. Anytime you have a whole number, just go ahead and put a 1 on the bottom, because -2 divided by 1 is still -2. That tells us to go down 2 and right 1. So I'm going to go down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. You can keep going, but that's enough points for me. And we can draw that line with arrows on both ends. All right, we've got a small problem here because this equation is not in that y equals mx plus b form. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get it in that form. I want to get y all by itself. So since it's a -4x, we want to do plus 4x to both sides. So now it is in that form. We always want to put the 4x first and then the number at the end so that it's in that right form. Okay, so again, we always start with our y-intercept. This time my y-intercept is down at -3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Put our point there on the y-axis. Okay, and our slope is the number in front. We want to go ahead and we want to make that number 4/1. So our slope is 4/1, which tells me to go up 4, right 1. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4/1, up 1, 2, 3, 4/1, and there is my line. All right, let's take a look at the next one. We've got y equals -3/4 x. So we have a small problem here. We don't have a number at the end, but we know that we just can put a +0 there. So this time our y-intercept is at the point 0, 0, right in the middle. Okay, and because our slope is a fraction, it's already good to go, but we do want to put that negative up with the top number, so it's -3/4. So I go down 3, right 4. So for the slope, I go down 3, right 4, put a point. I'm going to go ahead and do it one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, put a point. And then I've got my line that goes, oops, try that again. Our line that goes right through those points. All right, so if we look at this one again, it is not in that slope-intercept or y equals slope times x plus y-intercept form. So we need to fix it. Unfortunately, we need to do a little bit more work here because we've got to get that y all by itself. So the first thing I want to do is I want to add 2x to both sides. So I have 2y equals, and on the other side, because those cancel out, I have 2x plus 4. Now I'm not quite done yet because that y is not by itself, so I want to divide every single number by 2 because that'll get y by itself. So now I get y equals, here I get 2 divided by 2. That gives me 1x, and then 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. So I know my y-intercept is at 0, 2, and I know my slope is technically 1 over 1, so that's going to tell me to go up 1 and right 1. So again, we start up at 0, 2, and my slope tells me to go up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. You can do as many points as you want. Get that nice straight line through there, and we are good to go. So if it's not in that form that we want to graph, we need to get it in that form. We've solved equations for y before. We spent a lot of time last unit solving for x, same idea, to get that y all by itself. All right, so the next thing we're going to do, we actually haven't done yet this year. We're going to graph horizontal and vertical lines. So horizontal goes straight across, and vertical, just like your vertical jump, would go up and down. All right, so if you look at these equations, they look a little bit different. Here we just have an x, and here we just have a y. There's no x after this y, so they're when we go to do slope, it's not going to be the same. So these two are a little bit different because, again, we've got just x equals a number and y equals a number. So anytime we see those, we know that those are either horizontal or vertical lines. The one thing I want you to think about is when you see x equals 2, what does that mean? That means all of the x values have to be 2. It doesn't matter what numbers you plug in y, x always has to be 2. So I'm just going to plug in 0, 1, and 2. You could use negatives. You could use bigger numbers. It doesn't matter. So if I plot those points, I'm going to go to 2, 0, 2, 1, and 2, 2. And now you can see exactly what kind of a line that is. That is a vertical line going up and down where all the x values of every point, and it doesn't matter where I would have picked points, all those x values are 2. All right, so looking at the next one, we can kind of figure out the same idea, but this time y is equal to 2. So we're going to plug in 2's for all the y's, and then you can pick whatever numbers you want for the x's. I'm just going to go ahead and go 0, 1, and 2. Got to be careful here, make sure we plot the points correctly. So I go 0, so left and right 0, up 2, over 1, up 2, over 2, up 2. And again, that should be enough to see that you've got a nice horizontal line up at 2. All right, so let's take a look at these next few. Here I've got x equals 5. Okay, so again, when I make my xy table, all the x values have to be 5. I can put whatever I want in for y. So I have now the point 5, 0, 5, 1, and then over 5 up 2. And again, we've got a nice vertical line there at 5. All right, graphing y equals -3 this time. All the y's have to be -3. Go ahead and make the x's 0, 1, and 2. So now I've got the point 0, -3, 1, -3, 2, -3. And again, you could have used whatever x values you wanted. That's a nice horizontal line at -3. Moving right along to the next one. My x values have to be -2. Make your y values whatever you want. I've got 0, 1, and 2. So that means we have the point -2, 0, -2, 1, -2, 2, and that is just, oops, a vertical line at -2. All right, so let's go to a couple more. Probably getting the hang of it by now. Here, all the x values have to be 3. I'm going to go 0, 1, and 2 again for my y's. So it's over 3 up 0, over 3 up 1, over 3 up 2, and that is a vertical line at +3. All right, last two. This one's kind of strange because it's y equals 0, so all the y values have to be 0. We don't care what the x values are, so I'm going to stick with 0, 1, and 2. I've got the point 0, 0, 1, 0, and 2, 0. So the line y equals 0 is really just what we think of as our x-axis. All right, last one. Again, this doesn't have an x at the end, so it's not y equals 4x like we did on the previous screen. It's just y equals 4. So I know all the y values have to be 4, and I can put 0, 1, and 2 in for x. So I've got 0, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4. Draw a horizontal line right there, and I've got my graphs. All right, so if you remember that y equals is horizontal, that's fine. You don't have to do the xy table. I do want to see a couple points per line. I even go back with my kids in my pre-calculus classes, which those are juniors and seniors in their math classes, and they forget which one's horizontal and which one's vertical. So this table is always a great way to go back. It says right here y has to be 4, so make all the y's 4, make x whatever you want, and you've got your horizontal or vertical lines. All right, so go ahead and use the rest of the time to work on your homework.